Welcome to the Fairways of Life show.
It takes a lot of work to get to this point in my career.
Gents, here's where I want to go now.
If I can practice, I know I can still do it.
Great players are ones who rise to the occasion.
And go again.
With the most candid interviews.
Well, I'll tell you a little story.
Ice cream is the motivator.
But an ice cream is so good.
Stunning.
Taking you beyond the ropes.
Maddie, let me just bring you over here. So there's the Ryder Cup Masters Trophy.
Here's your host, New York Times best-selling author, Matt Adams.
We are on the eve of the 90th edition of the Masters Tournament. 7,565 yards to a par of 72. The field size coming in this week, 91 players. As we say hello and welcome, could not be more excited about all that lies in store. This is the PXG Custom Studios. Pleasure to have your company as ever. We've got a lot to go through with you today. All right, let's jump right in. And first of all, take a look at the weather forecast. Dom, jump in here with me. What do you got in terms of, I'm interested in the weather, some tee times are out, maybe if you got featured groups.
Oh, we've got plenty to go through, Matt, and I'm happy to report that the weather is pristine, as you can see right there. Basically 79 to 85 the entire event this week. Possibly some wind issues on Thursday in terms of really affecting tournament play, but the rest of the week, low-level wind. I mean, this is the official forecast from Augusta. Relative humidity values will be between 20 and 35% all the way through Friday, leading to dry conditions. Sunny skies are expected to persist through the remainder of the week as high pressure builds into the region. So the weather is going to be flawless, Matt. Andrew, you can bring in some of those tee times. This is not every tee time, but this is a lot of them. You can see some of the groups are just blockbuster, Matt. Jordan Spieth, Justin Rose, Brooks Koepka at 120. Scheffler, Woodland, and McIntyre, 144. I mean, it's the Masters. And let me bring in the feature groups here, Andrew. Go ahead and show those. These will be the feature groups on Thursday for round one of the Masters. 10:07, 10:31, the morning waves. You can see you're going to see Bryson. You're going to see Rory, the defending champion. In the afternoon, we're going to see Jon Rahm, Scheffler. It's just going to be blockbuster stuff. In fact, Matt, can you take us through some of the television coverage so people can see where they're going to see this stuff?
Yeah, especially for those of you joining us ESPN Plus Live right now. Let's get you guys all up to speed. You can see ESPN will be the primary carrier of the coverage tomorrow afternoon. It starts early. This is brand new for 2026 Prime from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Then ESPN kicks in and takes you to the conclusion of play from 3. And then Saturday and Sunday, Paramount Plus will have the first 2 hours of live coverage until CBS picks it up from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. Dom, what about on the digital side?
What about on the digital side? It's everywhere. You can see there feature groups, featured hole coverage, 4, 5, 6, 15, 16, Amen Corner. All of those logos you see right there, folks, that is where you can consume the Masters this year and on Masters.com as always. So those feature groups that I showed you guys, you can watch those feature groups in any of those places and much, much more. So I can't wait. It's just wall-to-wall, Matt.
No doubt about that. Okay, let's take you inside this Masters field. 18 past champions amongst those that will be teeing it up. 22 players will be making their debut at Augusta National. 6 amateurs are in the field. There's 10 live golfers in the field. 9 players with 20-plus Masters starts. Rory's creeping up on that. This is his 18th start at the Masters. All of the top 10 in the official world golf rankings, all of the top 50 in the official world golf rankings. Of note, notables missing Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson, the first time they have not been here, one or the other, at least since 1994. Let that sink in just for a second. As to past Masters winners, here is a sample of the same. You can see it all goes all the way down to 2012 with Bubba. He got a couple, 2 in a 3-year stretch. Adam Scott in between there in 13 with that thrilling Masters that was. There's Tiger in 2019, all the way up to Rory winning it and completing the career Grand Slam in 2025. One of the things that makes the Masters so unique is that it is one of these venues where the golf course, even though all these stars that are assembled in the world of golf, and all of them are assembled in the world of golf, the golf course itself is always amongst the different stars. Dom, I'm going to bring it back on here with me again because you can sense, folks, the enthusiasm that we have, which I think mirrors the enthusiasm, no doubt, that all of you have as well. There's something, Dominic, about the start of the Masters. Maybe it's because we had to wait from the end of last summer, and so call it maybe the Tour Championship, if you please, or go back to July with the conclusion of the Open. We have to wait all that time until we get to the first major of the following year in 2026, the Masters tournament. I don't know about you, but this day to me always feels like we're on Christmas Eve.
It is Christmas Eve. I mean, I even have my, I've got my Masters green Penguin shirt on. I am ready to go right now. I am so excited. I am shutting down my life on Thursday. I am unavailable. Okay? I'm closed for business.
That's awesome. And I think I may have asked you this on a previous show, but I don't think we did it on this forum. And that is, when you are set up for your Masters viewing, I know for me, I'll have 4 different screens, 2 flat screens. One of those flat screens will have the multi-view. I'll probably use DirecTV for that. And then I'll have at least my computer set up, and then probably my phone, which I'll be streaming. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll have at least 7 different streams in front of me. What about you?
I usually have 6. I have my big screen I got in a quad box so I can see everything. And then I have my laptop, and I have that in a different box. And then if I really need something, I have my phone if I want a 6th screen. But it's just, you can't consume it enough. And I have to say really quickly that it's been really cool to see the growth and the extension of golf, not just with Masters coverage, but all the coverage over the last 20 years of doing this show, Matt, because the early stuff that we're going to get to see this year at the Masters wasn't really available when I started doing this show 20 years ago. There was portions of the tournament you just couldn't watch. Now you get to see everything. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. And I love the featured groups that we're going to be able to enjoy throughout the week, and the coverage that we're going to be able to enjoy throughout the week as well. So for those of you that are joining us on ESPN Plus, maybe for the first time, thank you for your company. This is the Fairways of Life show. We have an absolutely crazy good show planned for you today. When we come back, we're going to be joined by a 13-time competitor in this tournament. 13 times. Let that settle in for just a second. We're then going to be joined by another winner amongst the game's highest ranks and a very popular broadcaster as well. So that will be in a little while here on the Fairways of Life show. Time now for Get a Grip, presented by Superstroke. SuperstrokeUSA.com is where you can log on and check out this. We're talking about peaches and azaleas. Absolutely beautiful grip that they're having some fun with, and you can have some fun with as well. But you can also use the technology that makes Superstroke the preferred grip for so many of the best players in the world and so many of the great putters in the world at that. The Masters winners notes, 6 of the last 7 winners were ranked number 1 in the official world golf rankings, either before or after. 14 of the last 14 winners entered ranked inside the top 25 in the official world golf rankings. 24 of the last 26 winners were ranked inside the top 30 in the official world golf rankings. 19 of the last 20 winners were not the betting favorite. Can you imagine that? I mean, it's a matter of degrees because they obviously weren't that far off in many cases. 16 of the last 17 winners ranked inside the top 50 in driving distance. 46 of the last 46 winners had played in at least one previous Masters. And no player has won consecutive majors since Jordan Spieth did it, starting in 2015 or before. Yeah, on the way. More coming up for the Fairways of Life show, folks, and we cannot wait to be joined by our next guest. As I told you, he's competed in this event 13 times. How about that for insight? Stand by. It's coming up as we continue.
Golfers today are a different breed.
Who? Me?
We see the game in a different way.
We all have our own styles.
We swing our own swing.
But we have one thing in common.
We are all about the details.
Introducing the Revel line of grips from Superstroke. With 3 distinct offerings to choose from, the Revel is in the details.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous Parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back. Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct-to-consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
When you play PXG, everything clicks. That's the sound of confidence, of performance, of knowing your new PXG Gen 8 irons and new Lightning Woods are designed and custom fit for pros and golfers just like you. A better game is just a click away. Visit pxg.com to learn more. PXG, you've never played like this before.
FlightScope Mevo Plus is the ultimate indoor and outdoor golf launch monitor and simulator. It gives you the club and ball data you need with the accuracy you demand. Mevo Plus comes with ownership of simulated golf courses for you to play and practice at home. Mevo Plus is an essential golf partner to help you improve and understand your game better. Put more purpose in your practice. To learn more and get your Mevo Plus, shop now at flightscope.com.
Head down, water down the left, bunker down the right, take the club straight back.
Wandering minds. When golfers lose their focus, they're totally... But Bridgestone can help. Introducing Mindset. The ball's scientifically designed to keep you focused. First, identify your target. Next, visualize your shot path.
And then focus on the green dot and smooth one.
Play the Tour B and E12 with Mindset technology.
You see what happens when we work together? Stuff like that.
Nice one.
Hey, I'm golf broadcaster Matt Adams, and I have skin cancer, just like almost 10% of the U.S. population, but even more scary, 30% of us golfers. So once again, the legacy of Arnold Palmer is leading the game with Arnie's Mineral Sunscreen. It's a lightweight SPF 50 mineral-based sunscreen that's clean, safe, non-greasy, and no fuss. Log on to shoparnies.com to protect yourself and live life to the fullest, just like the king.
At the onset, the Confederacy was full of anticipation while planning to employ a strategy of outlasting the political will of the North to fight a war that would be long and cost a great deal. But with the Confederate attack on Fort Sumter on April 12, 1861, a new reality set in. With barely a month worth of gunpowder insured, the question of where the Confederacy would find massive amounts of gunpowder necessary to fight a large and extracted war became paramount. Jefferson Davis appointed former U.S. officer Major George Washington Rains of North Carolina to resolve this monumental and nearly impossible challenge.
It was crucial because otherwise they had no way of getting gunpowder other than carried runners down on the coast to steal it from or take boats and capture boats from the Union. That they had a gunpowder plant up in the Northeast, and so without it, it wouldn't have lasted as long as it did.
Raines, a graduate of West Point, had extensive experience in engineering with knowledge of chemistry, geology, and mineralogy. He settled on building the Confederate Powder Works along the banks of the Augusta Canal, utilizing highly advanced engineering to build a facility from scratch.
From the start to finish, they had it up and operating in 7 months.
Raines constructed a series of 26 buildings that would eventually stretch for 2 miles along the Augusta Canal to accommodate the sequencing and production of gunpowder. With the canals as his means of transport, the facility was not only highly efficient, but huge. In fact, it was the largest single Confederate industrial project of the entire war. The refinery was the principal structure and modeled after London's House of Parliament, centered around a 150-foot tall chimney. The powder works was so efficient that at the end of the war, it had a surplus of 70,000 pounds of gunpowder. When the war ended, bricks from the powder works were used to construct a mill that stands to this day, although in disrepair, with the original chimney remaining as a reminder of what was. In the world of golf, Augusta is known for hosting the first major championship of the year and for some of the most dramatic moments in the history of the game. But I'm standing right now at the base of that massive chimney along its walls. And when you think about the fact that I'm literally touching the bricks from the Confederate Powder Works and the role that it played in the Civil War, the only thing that I can think of that's kind of blowing my mind is, gosh, if these walls could talk.
Amazing, amazing stuff with the Confederate Powder Works, the significance of the role that Augusta played in the Civil War. Beauty is all around us as we are getting ready for the 90th Masters. As I mentioned in the last segment, I'm super excited about our next guest, one of my favorite people in the game of golf, the wisdom, the insight, the humble, soft-spoken way that he conducts himself. But the credentials are stout as we get into it. Mark McCumber is a 10-time winner on the PGA Tour. He was a 1988 Players Champion. He was a 1994 Tour Champion. In 1989, he represented the United States in the Ryder Cup team. He had, ready for this, 478 starts on the PGA Tour. 158 career top 25. So that means that when you look at the starts on the PGA Tour, take into account how many of those were top 25. Ready for the number? 33% of the time he finished in the top 25. Think about that level of proficiency over that huge span of time. 62 times he finished in the top 10, which means that over, again, that massive span of time, and you're talking about a player evolving through that, usually reaching a pinnacle of prowess and then tending to descend as they get older. That's normal, isn't it? Well, take into account the fact that Mark McCumber, through that span, finished top 10 13 times. More than 1 out of 10 times that he teed it up, he's finishing in the top 10. An incredible level of performance at the highest tier in the game. 50 times he competed in major championships, including, as mentioned, 13 times at the Masters tournament. He was a runner-up at the 1989 U.S. Open. He was a runner-up at the 1996 Open. Mark, it's always a pleasure to see you, my friend. How's life for you?
It's wonderful, Matt. It's nice to see your voice. It's been to see your face and hear your voice. It's been too long.
It has been too long, my friend. What is this like for you that we're sitting on the eve of the 90th Masters? How excited are you?
Not as excited as when I was driving down Magnolia Lane every time I was in it, but very excited. It's kind of nice to be in this position to watch it, take it all in, not have to worry about. Well, I'd like to worry about playing, but those days are gone. But not worried about covering it, but just to be able to watch it, take it all in. It's an incredibly special week, and it's not just that it's the first official major of the year. It's just such a beautiful place. I'll never forget turning off of Washington Road there my first time and going down Magnolia Lane. I was so taken by what it looked like to me that I never went to the parking lot directly. For 13 visits, About 6 times a week, I went right down Magnolia Lane. It's just the atmosphere there is it's hard to explain to people.
Well, can you cast back the years, spin them back for us, and share with us the all of it that surrounded that first time that you pulled down Magnolia Lane, the first time you actually saw Augusta National then?
Well, let me tell you a true story. My brothers and I, you're aware, we had a landscape business that I went from there to the mini tours to get my card. We had a contract to do the landscape redevelopment of downtown Augusta. My older brother, my biggest fan, who always promoted me, you can do this, type big brother. He somehow back in 1973 found practice round tickets, and we went and walked the property. And I looked at him, I said, I'm just taking golf serious now as a young professional. I don't want to come back till I get to play. So that was kind of always a goal of mine, to get to walk down the fairways, not outside the ropes. It sent a chill down my spine. I'll never forget pulling to the gate in my car before they give you one of their beautiful Cadillacs. And the guard looks at me, and here's what got me. He recognized me because they obviously are prepared. Mr. McCumber, come right in.
Wow.
And then when you walk behind the clubhouse and see the expanse over the property, at the high point of the property is where the clubhouse is, I just was taken aback by it. I've never seen a piece of land that looked like a paradise. I mean, perfect grooming, no white paint other than the crosswalks, no ground under repair. I'd never seen anything like it. It took my breath away.
Is it true that when you see Augusta National for the first time, whether we define this one by that 1973 visit or as your first time as actually as a participant, you choose which, but is it true that the golf course or the property, once you're there, that the topography and the amount of depth and movement on that property is one of the things that surprises a lot of people?
Absolutely. TV sends beautiful colored pictures, but it doesn't give you the 3 dimension. It's the hardest course I would walk every year on tour. I mean, I would leave there, Matt, with shin splints quite often. And the lesson that I never learned, because I love the place so much, I always played too much on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And I had an older caddy one time, and he said, "Kid, you need to save your legs. Very important not to get fatigued on the golf course." But until you go in person, you can't believe how far the elevated 10th tee down the fairway, you work your way along Rays Creek, then you come all the way back uphill. Same is true as you head off on number 1 down the hill, then work your way back on number 9. And I think that that's one of the things creation gives us is, as an architect, what makes great golf courses? It can give you some type of water. Pebble Beach has got the ocean. This has got the charming Rays Creek. It can give you vegetation, the towering pines, the azaleas, the dogwoods, all the beautiful vegetation, because it was originally a nursery, don't forget. And then elevation. This property has got all 3. I can see why Bobby Jones fell in love with it when he saw it.
When you talked about the family business and now you're talking about Augusta National, have you guys drawn any inspiration from that property in terms of the way that it's been dressed out from its nursery roots before it was even a golf course?
Absolutely. I mean, I still draw, just like in the golf architecture. I draw from all the places I've seen around the world, from, Royal Melbourne to Augusta to Riviera to courses in Ireland, Port Marnock, one of my favorites. You don't copy, but you see features. And if the land gives you that opportunity, you like to create some of those features. But the plant material alone, I was able to really appreciate the beauty of some of the flowering plants. And the tournament is around that springtime where, things flower and you go, that's a beautiful, a tree form of dogwood or this azalea or whatever it might be that you see on the property that we would then incorporate in from residential to commercial landscape designs.
Mark, could you again, and forgive me for continuing to go back so far in your history, I will ask you about your thoughts about this year's Masters coming up, but I get excited when I'm in your presence to kind of tap back into your incredible story. Can you share with us what it was like when you were a young man playing in those early Masters, to be around some of the other legends of the game? Because Augusta is, if nothing else, always a celebration of golf.
Well, man, I was very fortunate. The tour school was twice a year back then. I got my card after 6 tries in the summer of '78. Only played 6 tournaments that were available. And then, the 14th time I teed up on a Monday at Doral, was fortunate enough to win. And instantly, Jack Nicklaus had his right-hand man give me an invitation to a memorial tournament. I go, oh, this comes with winning. And then it hit me. I'm in the Masters, which was only 3 weeks later. So it was like incredibly exciting. I mean, every visit, it never was less important. I'll give you an example. When you would win early in the year or do something, finish top 16 in the U.S. Open, that would get you in the next year. And you couldn't wait to qualify for Augusta. The different ways you could do it, the sooner you could. And when you were qualified for the Masters, you were then allowed to go up and play outside the time of the tournament. I only did that a few times. Paul Azinger and I flew up one time and played. Andy Bean, dear friend, flew up and played one time. And to see the golf course outside the tournament, I was shocked. I'll never forget going down the second fairway and you make that turn and you look at the green. I go, Andy, this isn't number 2, as if they were tricking me, because you don't have all the people behind it, and you see the old practice area between there and 18. It's just it's a different look. You get to see the whole expanse, but when the people are there, the colorful backdrop, it just never, ever, ever got old to me. I never once said, I don't really care if I come next year. I couldn't wait to keep coming back. And it was really fun because later in my career, I was fortunate at age 43 to win 3 times in 94, which got me back in 95. Another good year, 95, got me back in 96. So I really got to play up till my middle 40s at Augusta. And it never got less exciting from the time I saw it in my 20s.
Who were some of the people that you had a chance to tee it up with, either in practice rounds or in the actual tournament proper?
Well, it's funny you say that, because when I first went, I had already made friends right away. Dan Sykes was a player who grew up in Jacksonville and was very kind to me. And he introduced me right away. I'd play practice rounds. I never played with the guys I got through tour school with, nothing against them. He would set me up with Miller Barber and Don January. We'd play practice rounds together. And then I would always seek out Dave Stockton was a dear friend, Al Geiberger. I would play practice rounds there with George Archer, former winners, and they would walk me through. I'll never forget walking up the first tee with George Archer. And we got down even with, where the pro shop doors are. He said, Mark, when I first came here, here's where the first tee was. It's probably 150 yards further back now. So the course did evolve and change. So I would always pick their brains. In the tournament, there was a lot of exciting moments. I remember 2 things I'd like to share. One year I was playing with Mr. Nicholas Jack, and there's a long story about my driver. My very first Masters, Matt, I was sitting at the old range, and I felt that I'd never met him, and I'd won Doral 3 weeks earlier. And I'm on the range, just pumped up, so excited, and I'm hitting a few balls over the fence that went out on Washington Avenue. And I feel this presence, and I go, oh, no, that's Jack Nicklaus watching me. And he looks, and he says, Mark, congratulations on Doral. He said, how do you hit it so far? And he asked me to see the driver. Well, the driver was a driver I bought at the public course I grew up on that was a McGregor by Nicklaus. He says, no wonder, it's a great designer. So, well, long short, that driver got chewed up and the old wood drivers would come apart. And every time he'd see me, how's our driver doing? How's our driver doing? Well, a couple of years later, the face had lost roll and bulge, and I wasn't into designing clubs. He says, when you play my Pro-Am at Lost Tree, I'll give you a different one. I go, oh, my goodness. And while we're looking at clubs, he pulls one down and he says, how do you like this one? I said, he could have given me a broomstick and I would have taken it. And he said, I can't give you that one. I won a couple of Masters with that. And I said, I would have framed it. Well, anyway, he gave me a driver that I used the rest of my career, a wooden driver. And I was playing with him one year. I believe it was the 3rd round. And I had driver on 8 to about 6 inches and made eagle. And he says, it's the driver, isn't it? So that was a pretty special experience for me. There's so many, it's hard to list. And playing with Seve one year in the last round, that was also special.
Amazing. Plus, I'm sure you probably had the chance to see the likes of like a Gene Sarazen, walking around Byron Nelson back in the day, obviously Arnold Palmer. It's incredible when you think about the way your career bridged all these greats being on that property.
It really is. Being with Wilson Sporting Goods basically my whole career, I got to meet Mr. Sarazen at the Wilson dinners and Mr. Nelson and a lot of the greats. I played practice rounds at Augusta with Billy Casper. It was incredible. And to meet Mr. Sarazen, I had, he was at the Wilson dinners too. It was, and what, as you know, because you'll be there, the first major of the year in being Augusta, all the people in the game of golf come. And it's not just the Masters winners. You know, if you win a major, including the U.S. Amateur, which Bobby Jones obviously was fond of, you're invited back. You can play the par 3 tournament. You can even play practice rounds. I'm assuming it's still that way. So some players, former Masters champions, would play a practice round, visit, enjoy the ambiance, and not even be playing in the tournament. So everybody in golf, and as you know, all the writers, all the manufacturers, it was the place to be. Never grew old to me. Never did.
Incredible. Mark, you mentioned some of these vets that you had a chance to play golf with, some of them past champions too, that in a sense took you under their wing, whether they did it deliberately or you just did it by observing the way that they played Augusta National, speaks to the fact that Augusta, traditionally, to be successful there, to win at Augusta, you need some tournament rounds under your belt to understand this golf course. How complex is it to try to solve the riddle of Augusta National?
Great question. I wrote an article once. I was an architectural editor for Golf Illustrated for the great Mr. Al Barco, and I wrote a couple articles. One about Augusta, the greening of golf in America, that was set the standard when it came on TV. It almost set the bar too high for most courses to even think of competing, but it raised everybody's excellence, just like when you play with good golfers. But to think that you could win, Fuzzy, it was my rookie year. Fuzzy had won at San Diego, I won Doral, so we're in our first Masters together, and he wins. Dramatic win. Never forget the birdie he made on number 11. But in the playoff, it's almost impossible. I don't think there's so many nuances. Another little example, in playing practice rounds, I played on Wednesday, the 11th hole, where the water comes in so close and everybody's letting you know you got to miss it right there. You have to. So I would go up there and I drop my ball on the left edge of the green. It would roll to the fringe and stop. And I go, well, it's not that bad. Well, I hit a shot in one of the early rounds. It might have been on Thursday, that landed in the middle of the green, kind of work left. I said, it's going to be okay, and it trickled into the lake. Now you've got to go down by the scoreboard to a drop circle and pitch over the corner. And I went up there and looked, how did that happen? The bank was shaved even closer than it was the night before. So there's so many nuances. I'm not saying they're trying to trick you, but if you're a veteran, you really know you can't go over there. I fooled myself. There's just so many places you've got to experience to believe it. If I get above this hole, hit it over the green on 15. You would never think that you get a pretty good pitch and the ball would go in the lake on the other side. But if you got that ball more than 3 or 4 feet by the hole to a certain kind of a front rightish pin, it's gone. And you just can't believe it until you mess up there. So it takes years, I think. And these guys are all so good and so proficient. But I think this year, especially, Matt, I understand it's playing dry and fast. It's like Augusta on steroids. Any little mistake is going to be magnified around the greens, and it's just hard to imagine it until you play. So it takes years, in my opinion. I would pick the brains of former winners and players, but still, until you do it, you know, my first round ever, I was told how incredibly fast the greens will be. I had about a 20-footer that I left about 8 feet short, so afraid to putt it off the green.
Wow, amazing stuff from Mark McCumber. We're going to continue talking to this legend and sharing some of his great remembrances of Augusta National, but also sharing nuances and secrets of how players will need to navigate Augusta National to be successful in 2026. That is on the way. I know you've been hearing a lot about Newton golf shafts. If you log on to newtongolfco.com and check out their new fast motion shaft, you'll see why it is causing so much attention in the golf industry. At our recent fan trip to Streamsong Resort, you couldn't believe how many of the players were rocking these new golf shafts because they fit any player. There's a reason why so many of the best in the world are playing this golf shaft. You can check it out for yourself at newtongolfco.com. More coming up on the Fairways of Life show. When we come back, we're going to jump right into something that Mark was talking to us about, Rays Creek. How much do we know about it? Stay with us.
This gorgeous stonework dates back to the 1870s, and it speaks to the interaction of the canal and Rays Creek. And when you think about Rays Creek and all the bodies of water that are famous in the game of golf, or things that span the bodies of water like the Swilcan Bridge, I can't think of another more benign, seemingly flowing little creek that has had a bigger impact on the game of golf than Rays Creek right here in Augusta. The confluence of land and water have long been golf's ultimate canvas for its contrast, beauty, and grand scale. But in Augusta, Georgia, a small meandering body of water called Rays Creek has played a profound role in determining a champion at the Masters for nearly 9 decades. Whether a golfer's ambitions are consumed by its slowly churning waters and tributaries, or they benefit from a rare reprieve, history is often defined by its influence. But for as major a role as it plays in the first major of the year on the men's side of the game, Rays Creek is still only 10 miles long, hardly a force of nature.
This creek, you could be anywhere in the United States or worldwide and nobody would know what it is, but because of the tournament, you mentioned Rays Creek. Oh, I know where that is.
Artifacts from along its banks have been dated to Native American settlements from 3,000 to 10,000 years ago. Rays Creek got its name from an Irish immigrant who came to Augusta in 1734 named John Ray. Ray was highly enterprising, operating multiple businesses along the creek that today bears his name. Augusta became a bustling industrial center in the years leading up to the Civil War, much of it due to the creation of the Augusta Canal in 1845 to harness the hydropower it provided.
It backs water up into, of course, the Augusta National in front of 12 and behind 11 and in front of 12 Green. That little pond that's in there was really, there's a dam put in there by the National that backs that water up too and keeps it looking like a pond rather than a free-flowing stream like we see behind us here.
However, the critically important canal and Rays Creek moved in 2 different directions, meaning the creek as it exists today was in risk of significant alteration, but an ingenious aqueduct was ultimately built by an Italian artist from massive stones that stand today as a testament to the vision and determination that provided for the continued flow of a small creek that continues to make history.
That history lay in wait to be defined here as we're on the eve of the 90th start of the Masters tournament. Our guest is Mark McCumber as we welcome you back to our PXG custom studios. Log on to pxg.com and play golf like you've never played it before. We're going to be joined very, very soon, too, by John Maginnes, and I'm really excited about John jumping in with us and getting his insights for the week that lies in store. Mark, is there, let me cast the net as wide as I can. To be successful at Augusta National, tell me about what attributes a player needs to possess.
Well, length is always an advantage at Augusta. It's an advantage in any course. It may be less of an important factor this week because the course is playing fast, and it doesn't appear it's going to get soggy or wet. There's no bad weather. So I think that brings in maybe more players who don't have that power. I was a fader of the golf ball is what I preferred, and it does favor a draw. That's another thing. You can really get holes like number 2, number 10, 13 without question, favor a draw, and you can get the ball further down the fairway if the ball's landing with that right to left action for a right-hander. But I really think the premium is on where you put the ball on the green. There are many places at Augusta National I would rather be 30 feet than I would be 10 feet. Because if you're behind the hole, you're just trying to get the ball started. And if you at all just goose it a little bit, a putt that would normally go by on a regular green of foot, it may be 6, 7, 8 feet by. So being in the right part of the green, in the right section of the green, never is that more evident than, for example, on number 14, the par 4, which is another favored draw, a right to left fairway that the slopes left to right. So you've really got to work it that way to keep it in the fairway. But if you get in the wrong section of that green, I mean, I love the story one time. Seve 4-putted the 16th green. And what a great putter he was. And one of the reporters asked him, well, how did you 4-putt? Well, he goes, I miss, I make. You can stand up there forever. Ernie Els one time, I want to think 4-putted the first green opening out. So where you are on the greens, iron play is essential. But I also think it's underrated how vital a great short game is. Augusta National gives you the opportunity to play 30 feet away from the hole. A good example is the back right pin on 14 again. You can play a fade into the middle of that green, 30 feet left of the hole, and feed it down. It might go in. So sometimes they give you the opportunity. Number 13, the par 5, if the pin is that middle back right, you can get to it by playing a fade into the middle of the green, 30 feet left of the hole. It'll get right down against the hole. So I love the artistic ability it gives a player. You can't play, I don't think, just mechanical golf. Hit it here, hit it there. You got to have a romance. You've got to work the ball around these fairways. You got to work it onto the greens. And many times accept that I cannot go at that pin. The 11th hole I mentioned earlier is one of those. If that pin's on that left side of the green, you've got to accept that if I hit it where the pin is, I've pulled it 10 or 20 feet.
Can you think of a putt, Mark, that maybe you got above the pin? You tell me the distance. I assume it could have been as short as 18 inches, 2.5 feet, 3 feet, and it still wakes you up at night?
Almost every green. I mean, if for some reason, well, the back right shelf on 16, the par 3, it's so hard to get it back there. Because you don't want to get, if you get in the bunker, I would say maybe 1 out of 5, you could keep it up on that level. You hit out of the bunker and it goes all the way down 40 feet away. But if you do get it on that back right and you're on the right of the flag, you could be 8 feet away and you're literally just touching it. You're breathing on it because you know that if it goes by the hole 3 or 4 inches, it's going to continue to go. There's a lot of instances like that on that golf course where you get above the hole. I mean, you get above the hole on 18, it's a little bit nervy. You get above the hole on 10. Oh my goodness. A player of my era who was a great player, Scott Hogue, who cannot forget the miss in the playoff against Faldo to win the Masters. Mm-hmm. And he probably didn't hit the best putt, but I'm telling you, even if it wasn't to win, that putt is one of those during the tournament. Sometimes players like to take the breakout, Matt. I'm going to take this 2.5 footer and just pour it in. But in the back of your mind, you know, if you pull it or push it a little at power lips, you may have a 10 footer coming back. So it always keeps you guarded. That's why I say there are many places, probably half the greens, I'd rather be 20 feet away than I would be 4 feet above the hole. Number 3, the par 4 is another one. You just do not want to be above the hole.
I mentioned to you that John Maginnes is going to be joining us, and I want to welcome in right now. John has won multiple times amongst the game's highest ranks. He is a host on Sirius XM PGA Tour Radio. He's a lead analyst on PGA Tour Live. John is part of the worldwide broadcast coverage this week coming up from Augusta National. Johnny, it's always a pleasure to welcome you into the program. Mark McCumber is on here with us. How you doing, my friend?
I'm fabulous and a huge fan of Mark McCumber, so it's great to get to spend some time with him. A huge fan of yours.
No doubt.
Well.
Thank you, my friend. No doubt about that. Mark, I'm going to bounce a question off you and let John react to the same. But you mentioned in the last segment that with this week's weather forecast, that the course is expected to run harder, faster, drier than it would obviously otherwise if there was some weather that had rolled through. As you can see from the graphic that's on your screen right now, that is not in prospect. Could you talk to us about your experience, Mark, and when you have played in a Masters tournament, when it was playing hard and fast, and how that changed your approach to the golf course?
Well, it totally changed my lines off the tee. I mean, you had to be a little more careful. I mean, because you could pull a drive on number 1, and if it's soft, it stays in the fairway. If it's not, you run into the pine trees and you're blocked out. If you play a draw off number 2 and it's fast and firm, it can work its way into the trees closer down to that little penalty area. So it definitely changes the golf course. It takes a golf course that I think John might agree, that really you're kind of always on the edge. Even when you're playing good, you know that any moment, if you make a foolish mistake, it can get amplified. I think all this does is make that even more amplified.
No doubt about that. Yeah, go ahead, Johnny.
I agree. We're going to see a lot of shots out of Pine Straw this week. We don't see that many usually, but we are going to see a lot of shots out of the Pine Straw because there's nothing to keep the balls from going into the Pine Straw. You have been here, Matty. When you come and get dropped off by the cart from the press building and you're get out right there by the big scoreboard on one. You're on a very low part of the property, and as soon as you take a step out there, it's always squishy. That's just the way that this golf course is. That's an area that's always wet. It's dry as a bone right now. It's like walking on cart path. This is the firmest I've ever seen Augusta National, and consequently, we're going to see a whole lot more short game on display and a whole lot more trouble shot on display. And as exciting as this is, I think that makes it even better.
Hey,
you know, Maddie, just to jump
ahead.
in on
Go ahead,
top,
Mark,
or
jump in.
jump in on top of John. Little holes, they're not little anymore, but holes like number 7, you know, you try to hit a 2-iron or 3-wood down there. And for me, even back then, I almost had to hit a draw or skirt the left tree so it doesn't go in the right rough. John, a hole like that and a hole like 14, you better shape your shot and land it within about a 5-yard area, or it's going to run off to the right in the trees. I think you're probably going to see more players having to hit recovery shots. Like on even number 9, if you block the drive at all, you get in the right trees. And all these slopes here never feed you closer to the hole. It's kind of feeding you further away and into trouble. I think John's right. You might need to take a rake with you to put the pine straw back in place when you're done, because there's going to be a lot of players in the trees.
Incidentally, Mark's draw faded about 6 yards.
That was a duck hook for me, John.
I knew all I had to do was stay out of the way with this thing, and you guys would take it and roll. It's awesome. Hey, Mark, give me a player that you think is a favorite this week.
Well, I can't. I'm so impressed with Scotty Scheffler. I mean, how can you not be? And it's not just the physical excellence. I think it's where he is in his life and what he puts of value. So he can tee up in a tournament. It means everything to him, but it doesn't. As soon as he's done, he's fine. Some guys, I think, it's their whole measure of their existence, and so it just adds so much pressure. I don't think it is for him at all. And you know, we talk about him not. Some people are saying he's not in the perfect form. Well, he hasn't putted as good, but my goodness, he's already had a second and a win, and he's not been far off. He set the bar so high. He would be a pick. I'm anxious to see, as big a fan as I am of Rory McIlroy and how good he is. If he drives it great, it's going to put more pressure on the direction. But all this trying to win here after he hadn't won as a kid till he hit that sweeping hook off 10 and let the tournament get away from him. Would he ever win Augusta? All that. Has that air out of that pressure gone away, and will he win back-to-back? I wouldn't be surprised at all if he did. And then again, there's a other full list of characters. I think someone who drives it as well as Justin Rose, who isn't overly long, he's not short, he may have an advantage this week because how accurate he is off the tee. And we know he plays good here, 3 seconds? So there's a lot of great players that could win here.
Yeah, Justin Rose nearly getting it done last year, too. I'm not sure if you guys saw it when we did this shot that you're seeing on your screen right now, but Carl Paulson was in the corner to the left of Johnny's for a moment. So, Johnny, tell us about the frat house you're in this week. There he is. What's up, Carl?
Morning, boys. It's scene over here. I'm not going to lie to you. We have Jason Sobel. We have George Savaricas. We have Brendan DeYoung. And Carl and I, we're all just hoping to survive Masters Week. That's all.
That is awesome. Hey, can Carl hear me?
Yes.
All right. So since you're jumping in and joining us, Carl, tell us about the week for you and what it's like to be involved in broadcasting the Masters and how excited you are as a former tour player.
It's always my favorite week of the year. I got to spend a couple hours with Fred Albers yesterday, just walking around the premises, showed him where Bubba hit the second shot in the playoff on out of the woods on 10 yesterday, and we walked around and saw all the iconic spots throughout the golf course. It just was a magnificent day. Looking very much forward to feature groups tomorrow through Sunday. I've got Rory's group tomorrow, and then heading out to the 8th hole until the final group goes through. So always excited to be here.
Incredible, dude. Thank you so much for stopping by and saying hi to us. We love your work too, Carl Paulson, who you can hear on PGA Tour Live. As I mentioned, he's also, like Johnny, a host on Sirius XM PGA Tour Radio. One of the best, and both of these guys have mad cred. So too does Mark McCumber. Mark, we're going to be heading to a break here, but I wanted to say thank you to you for the massive amount of time that you've given us today. It is always awesome to catch up with you. The time is too short, so can you please come back with me again some other time when we can reminisce?
Yeah, all you've got to do is ask him, man. I love seeing you. And John, you have a great week. I have had the pleasure in years past working with John. He's one of the best. I love listening to him on the radio and watching him. And Matt, I always enjoy when I get to see your show. And all the best to you guys and your families.
Thank you so much, my friend. John Maginnes is going to hang with us, and we're going to come back and talk some more about some favorites and dig into some numbers. I know you guys would love to dig into your numbers, too, and make sure that you're playing your very, very best golf. And why not do it with a name that's iconic everywhere, including at Augusta National, and that is Ben Hogan. I know how proud you would be to slip these clubs into your bag, etched in the metal with the iconic name of Ben Hogan. Log on to benhogangolf.com for more. More of the Fairways of Life show and our Masters programming built around the 90th Masters, which is on the eve of getting started. Stay with us.
My name is David McCleakid, golf course architect for the latest course at Streamsong. Welcome to Bone Valley.
Head down, water down the left, bunker down the right, take the club straight back.
Wandering minds. When golfers lose their focus, they're totally... But
Bridgestone can help.
Introducing Mindset. The ball scientifically designed to keep you focused.
First, identify your target.
Next, visualize your shot path.
And then focus on the green dot and smooth one.
Play the Tour B and E12 with Mindset technology.
You see what happens when we work together? Stuff like that.
Imagine your ultimate golf experience. There's a good chance it's Michigan's Magnificent 11. 11 spectacular courses from Boyne Golf, varied in both topography and play. Boyne Golf was named the #1 best golf destination in USA Today Reader's Choice 2025. And the Highlands at Harbor Springs is the #2 golf resort in that same USA Today poll. The ultimate golf experience. That's Michigan's Magnificent 11.
This is golf.
Nice shot, honey.
And this is Golf's Superstore.
Oh, yeah, we'll take this.
When you play PXG, everything clicks. That's the sound of confidence, of performance, of knowing your new PXG Gen 8 irons and new Lightning woods are designed and custom fit for pros and golfers just like you. A better game is just a click away. Visit pxg.com to learn more. PXG, you've never played like this before.
Hey, I'm golf broadcaster Matt Adams. You know, Hub's Peanuts has been cooking up the top 1% of peanuts for over 70 years. And these aren't your average nut. These are super extra large Virginia peanuts cooked in the USA. Family-owned Hub's Peanuts have more protein than any other nuts. So whether it's a boost on the course or a special gift, the variety of flavors guarantees Hub's Peanuts is just what you need. Family-owned, nutritious, delicious, and sustainable. Hub's Peanuts, it's just right. HubsPeanuts.com.
FlightScope Mevo Plus is the ultimate indoor and outdoor golf launch monitor and simulator. It gives you the club and ball data you need with the accuracy you demand. Mevo Plus comes with ownership of simulated golf courses for you to play and practice at home. Mevo Plus is an essential golf partner to help you improve and understand your game better. Put more purpose in your practice. To learn more and get your Mevo Plus, shop now at flightscope.com.
4! This is golf, and this is Golf Superstore, the only place you can walk in for a free driver fitting, have it built, and tee it up the same day. Try Fit and Go today.
Time now for the Flight Scope. Did you know? Log on to flightscope.com. This is their new i4 rangefinder packed with technologies everybody else in the industry is following them. Master Stats, greens in regulation. You just heard Mark McCumber, who competed in 13 Masters tournaments, talking about how critically important it is in terms of your strategy approaching these greens, approaching particularly where the pin is cut, respectively, on the greens. John Maginnes is our guest. What of John Maginnes and your thoughts of the particular makeup of a player and playing style that can be and has been successful at Augusta National?
I think patience is the biggest attribute by far. You hear players talk about, playing away from flags. Well, Tiger Woods was the most patient player we have seen since Jack Nicklaus. Scotty Scheffler is the most patient player we have seen since Tiger. I think that there's a level of patience that is required here. Using slopes, using gravity to your advantage, and not having it repel your ball is massive, and that's knowing where to hit it and when to hit it there. And that's why we haven't seen anybody win it in their first trip around here since Fuzzy in '79, and nobody for 60 years before that. So I think that this is a golf course that requires so much of you mentally. Everybody on tour hits it long. Everybody on tour hits it high. All of those things that we used to talk about with Lee Trevino, couldn't hit it high enough, or Corey Payton couldn't hit it high enough. They all hit it the same now. Some better than others, but they all hit it the same way now because that's the way the modern game is.
All right, so let's do this. So you mentioned Scotty Scheffler. We'll start with Scotty. We're going to throw up different players' names and graphics here, and you just give us a reaction. I just want to run through a number of them, if you don't mind.
I love it.
All right, so Scotty Scheffler, 29 years old, 20 PGA Tour wins to his credit. 4 times he's a major champion. 6 Masters starts. He's won it a couple of times, 4 top 10s and 2 wins, and those were his last 4 starts, incidentally. He's 9th currently in greens and regulation. His scrambling, he's 51st, and his strokes gained putting, he is 17th. At least 2 of those measures, John, are very, very strong for Scotty Scheffler. How do you feel he's situated this week, new dad and all?
That's my favorite part about this Masters is you're going to run through a list of names, and they all have a question mark next to them. The big question mark next to Scotty is how much has he been able to prepare? He has it was 9 days old on Sunday. We're 3 days later, so 12-day old, not even 2 weeks old. Is he going to be able to have the laser focus that is required to win this golf tournament? And the answer to that question is, I don't know. Neither does he. Neither does his dad or his mom or his wife. Nobody knows how Scotty is going to fare in his first tournament after having a brand new baby. And that's perfectly understandable. We will forgive Scotty if he doesn't contend this week, and we won't be the least bit surprised if he wins by 5.
Yep, and Scotty Scheffler did mention yesterday, gave all his credit to his wife and said she's such a superstar. It's given him time to be able to prepare. All right, our defending champion, Rory McIlroy. I'll take you through, first of all, the nuts and bolts for those of you that are listening to us on the radio side as well. Rory now at 36 years old, 29-time winner on the PGA Tour, 5 major championships to his credit, 17 master starts under his belt. This will be number 18, 8 top 10s, and of course, the victory last year that completed the career Grand Slams. Greens in regulation, 11th. Playing very, very well. They're top 20 in scrambling. Putting, though, not so much at 108th. Amongst whatever question marks that you mentioned for Rory McIlroy, is there a question with Rory McIlroy about where he stands right now, having scaled this mountain, John?
I think absolutely. This is a guy, he withdrew from Bay Hill. He was not 100% at the Players' Championship. Now, he did win. He did win the pro member with his dad. But other than that, we haven't seen Rory on form yet in the last few months either. So there's a huge question mark with him as well. And I think that's fun. If Rory won this golf tournament, it would just solidify his spot among the greatest the game's ever seen. It would put him next to to Nick and Jack and Tiger as players who have won back-to-back here. So, yes, Rory McIlroy could also win this golf tournament, and we will also forgive him if he doesn't contend because of what's been going on for the last couple of months. And that, to me, is what makes this as exciting a Masters as we've seen going into it in years and years.
Yeah, it's interesting because you've allowed grace for both Scottie Scheffler and Rory McIlroy for these considerations. When we talk about Jon Rahm, and again, I'll run through the nuts and bolts of Jon Rahm for you guys too, and get your reaction accordingly. John, it almost feels like to me anyway, with Jon Rahm, there might be a little bit of a chip on the shoulder there. At 31 years old, 11 PGA Tour wins. Of course, he's playing on Live now. 2 major championship wins to his credit, 9 master starts under his belt, 5 top 10s, and a victory. Live starts, stats, I should say, greens and regulation. This is stunning to me. 82.22%. He ranks first there. Scrambling, he is 4th. And putting average, he is 35th. What do you make of Jon Rahm?
Because they play substandard golf courses by and large on Live. They're shooting 30 under to win most weeks. And consequently, I don't think that his preparation from a competitive standpoint is where it could be if he wasn't on Live. Having said that, he's Jon Rahm. He could win any golf tournament at any given time. But he's not winning any golf tournament at any given time over there. He's playing great. He finishes in the top 5 every week, literally every week. But he's only won once in the last 2 years on Live. So how can you really assess how he's playing when he's playing against a limited field of players that he sees every week in a shotgun start? And it's not the same as playing on the PGA Tour. Patrick Reed had some very interesting things to say about being in contention last year and being in the final group at Dubai and watching the driving range empty on Saturday before he was in the last group, and having a guy be 5 under through 8 holes and having caught him before he even teed off, and the dynamic of playing in that type of a championship as opposed to playing in a shotgun start. And Jon Rahm is a party to that. Now, he won't have this conversation with you because he won't admit that there's a chance that going over there wasn't the wisest career move that he's ever made. That's just how he is. And I don't blame him. I would be the same way. But the fact of the matter is, those guys, he and Bryson and the others who are great players who went over there, have put themselves at a disadvantage this week at the Masters and the other 3 weeks of the year that we're going to see them. Can they still win a major? Of course they can. It's a higher mountain to climb for them now than it was when they were playing on the PGA Tour. And that's my personal opinion as a former PGA Tour player.
Yeah, and I think there's great merit to it too when you look at it from the standpoint of depth that you just provided to us. Let's talk about Bryson then. In terms of where he stands, his numbers are accordingly: 32 years old with 9 PGA Tour wins before he went to Live, 2 major championships under his belt. He was part of the mix last year. 9 master starts for him, 2 top 10s, including a 5th place finish last year when it was all said and done. His Live stats: greens and regulation, he's 3rd. Scrambling, he's 7th. Putting, he is 5th. It's interesting because the way you laid it all out so beautifully with Jon Rahm in terms of pros and cons, then we talk about Bryson, but Bryson, to some extent, always seems to exist in his own bubble.
It's different. I love Bryson. Times where he's been prickly, he reinvented himself when he went to Live, which is great. He's one of the most popular people on YouTube, not sports figures, people on YouTube. Good for him. The fact of the matter is, this is a golf tournament that he's supposed to win. He has the attributes in terms of distance. When he drives the ball well, it's a massive advantage, much like Rory last year or Scottie. Bryson is an elite driver of the golf ball, and so he's supposed to contend here. Didn't get it done last year. Rory had a little chip on his shoulder after the U.S. Open the year before, and wouldn't talk to him. I love that dynamic. I loved seeing all that. how does that change Bryson's approach this year on the weekend if he's in contention? I don't know. Should be fun to see. If nothing else, Bryson's one of those people that are players and athletes that you just can't look away from when he's a part of the mix.
John, it's fascinating. I'm not going to hold you for too much longer because I know how busy you are, and it's awesome that you agreed to join us today in our live broadcast on ESPN. But what name have I not said amongst the leaders that you think should be mentioned right now because you feel really good about their chances this year?
Firm and fast as this golf course is, I love Patrick Reed. Obviously what he's done on the DP World Tour this year, his decision to rededicate himself to his craft and to come back to the PGA Tour at any avenue possible, I think that's fascinating and fun to see. And with the firm, fast golf course, the fact that those guys do hit it past him, and make no mistake, he is not as long as Bryson and Rory, but he can compete with those guys, particularly with his short game. So when I'm looking at guys this week, I think short game is going to be a huge factor. And I like him. I like Ken Young. Look, the last two Players Champions have gone on to win the Masters. So he could make it 3 in a row. I love that. And if you're looking for one guy who could possibly be the first since 1979 to win this golf tournament in their first try, I love that athlete that is Goddard. Chris Goddard. He's not going to hurt himself in the gym this week, and I love that.
I love it, Johnny. Johnny, is this Christmas Eve for you?
It's the best week of the year, as Carl said, without any question. Staying in the house, getting to walk those grounds, getting to be a part of this broadcast and be a part of this broadcast family that you know so well. It's easily the best week of the year. There's not even anything else to compare it to.
Dude, we love so much the work that all of you guys do. I'm amongst those, please don't judge me harshly, folks, but I'm amongst those that turns up the radio broadcast and turns down any other source of audio coming in because I want to hear the way that these guys beautifully describe it. Many of the names that John has already mentioned that paint pictures with words. So, John, we thank you for that. We thank you for everything that you do with your show during the week on Sirius XM PGA Tour Radio as lead analyst on PGA Tour Live, and that which you will be doing this week with Masters Radio, which can be heard on Sirius XM amongst the various outlets. Thank you so much, Johnny, for being Johnny and for your time with us today. John, thank you, my friend. We'll talk to you soon. All right, folks, thank you to all of you, too, for joining us today. I know we went long on today's show, and I did it deliberately because I didn't even want to end with Johnny right now, as you could tell, because he's that brilliant with his observations, and we wanted to just keep on going. But thank you to all of you for your company all the time, and in particular this very special week, a week that Carl Paulson and John Maginnes just both defined, players that are veterans from the tour, saying this is the greatest week of the year. And I hope for all of you, too, it is the greatest week of the year. Enjoy the Masters. Until we are together again, be well and goodbye for now.